So before we start, I'd just like to acknowledge that we are on Aboriginal land and also acknowledge the WA Convenor people as the traditional custodians of this land and pay my respects to elders past and present. Housekeeping, the main exits are there and in that corner of the back of the theatre. The toilets are out this door, just follow it around directly ahead of you. Please turn your mobile phones off if you've got them with you, or on silent. My name is Katrina Love, and I'm the campaign manager for Stop Live Exports, which is a Fremantle-based organisation that's been around for 20 years. I'm also the Western Australian convener for the Animal Justice Party. I'm the WA representative on the executive of Animals Australia, and was recently appointed to the board of the Fremantle Environmental Resource Network, otherwise known as FERN. I'd just like to thank Perth advocates for the Earth for putting on this free screening of Cowspiracy. We were hoping to see over 200 people in this theatre, but obviously there's been a few no-shows. But it's good to get it out to people who might not have otherwise had the opportunity to view it. Our hope is that everyone in this room recognises the importance and the urgency of getting other people to view this documentary. And hopefully you'll assist in the exponential growth of the number of people who do view it. Even before I viewed Cowspiracy, I was aware that animal agriculture was not only the leading cause of the slaughter, the death and suffering of trillions of animals, an estimated 70 billion land animals and 1 to 3 trillion marine animals are killed every year for human consumption, but also the leading cause of the destruction of this planet through environmental damage, water use, pollution and habitat and species destruction. I only fairly recently became aware that animal agriculture is also the leading contributor to global warming. Those first two reasons are the reasons I became vegan about 5 years ago. Now, whilst you're watching this, you might think to yourself, well, this is an American movie made in America by Americans about the American animal agriculture industry. How does it relate to Australia? It's not really relevant. Cattle in Australia are now routinely feedlotted, so about 70% of the beef that is available in major supermarkets comes from grain-fed, feedlotted cattle. Australia also used to export on average 760,000 cattle, mostly to Indonesia, live cattle. Pardon me. This year that figure reached 1 million. Trade to Indonesia is increasing. This government has just reopened the trade in live cattle to Egypt. Cambodia is touted to join the list of buyers of live cattle, and trade will probably be reopening to Iran. The current breeder cattle trade to Russia will probably change to slaughter cattle as well. Vietnam is growing as a major buyer of live cattle, and a trade deal has just been done with China to provide them with up to 1 million live cattle a year. And that's on top of the slaughter, the chilled beef, the huge amounts of chilled beef that are already processed here and sent internationally, especially to China. Aside from the animal use and animal abuse issues, this will contribute to seeing Australia not become the world's food bowl, but the world's dust bowl. Australia has more cattle than the United States per capita, with 29 million cattle in a country with a population of 23 million. USA has approximately 95 million cattle for a population of 316 million. So you can see it's over one cow per person in Australia, whereas it's about three people per cow in the States. And we have much less suitable land to support their production. And the sheep, at any one time, Australia's sheep flock numbers over 70 million. Personally, I hope that Cowspiracy will be, to this decade, what An Inconvenient Truth was to the last decade, except that Cowspiracy addresses the one truth that was even too inconvenient for Al Gore, and that is animal agriculture. Those who consider themselves environmentalists or conservationists, and those organisations that represent them, must address the cow in the room. Now, it's not really a graphic film. It's not like Earthlings, for any of you who've seen them, but there are a couple of scenes that you may want to cover your eyes for if you're particularly sensitive to those kinds of scenes. There's this scene of the home slaughter of 2 ducks. There's some pretty horrific footage, I think, that was taken in the 80s of a cull of African elephants. There's a scene of a downer cow at a dairy facility, and quite a few scenes of commercial fishing. So we'll get started, and as much as you possibly can, enjoy the movie.